All right, let's go ahead and share the screen. Today's day 264. I'll just label that. It should be 264. All right, so here we go. I'm going to keep looking at this area in Birmingham, just learning the market a little bit more and more every day. 35205. Kind of interesting that you see some properties here in the 900 grand. Oh, these are like really nice houses. But this is almost like a mansion for 900 grand with the view and everything. Okay, so this is kind of cool to see. It's probably gonna be like a $3 million home in California, but good to know that's what you can get around here, and good to know that you probably have this pocket of concentration up on the hills here, where these property values are much higher. Okay, so I just found a 3-bedroom here. Let's see, 20. Something with better pictures. Something looking at. Okay, this is pretty good. 220 Fifth Ave South, and you can see that this property, for the most part, looks like it's in relatively turnkey condition. Oh yeah, this is definitely above average. So I'm gonna assume this property is probably relatively turnkey. Let's see, this just dropped by 10 grand, so that's good. 3-bed, 2-bath. It's been on the market for 114 days, so it's not moving. It's probably priced way too high. Let's see how long it's been listed for. 160, 170 grand. It's been dropping. Yeah, it's gonna keep dropping, I think. All right, so let's take a look at this property. They probably try to flip it. They bought it about a year ago now for 42 grand and try to make a little bit of money on it. All right. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get the fair market rents or the ceiling rents. All right. To do that, we're going to Google HUD FMR. We're going to click on the first link up top where it says fair market rents, 40th percentile rents. We scroll down, click on access to small area FMRs. Then the next page will bring you to a link where it says look up FY 2024 small area FMRs. Go to Alabama, go to Jefferson County. And then we're going to look for 35205. And now you're going to get the rent ceiling by bedroom count by zip code 35205. So you can kind of see like this 1830 is probably one of the higher numbers, except for like this 35213 number at 2630. Wow. So this kind of in line with probably why we saw some homes in the 900 grands. But let me look at the zip code 35213. Maybe that's what I'm looking for tomorrow. 35213. I'm always interested to see when I see these little outliers here. So this is going to be up here in this area. All right, good to know. I can see how these homes are in the 300s already, so that's probably why the rent is so high there. All right, but let's go ahead and get the market rent. So now we got 35205 at 1640 and 1830. Let's write this down. 1640 and 1830, 1640, 1830. This is 35205. 35205. Okay, now I want to get my market rents. To do that, I would go to affordablehousing.com, go to the owner section, click on a market rent estimator, plug in the address. Let me copy over the address really quick. And put in a bedroom count. And now you're going to get the market rent on average. The number you care most about here is this number here on the bottom right. It says for 25 units within a 1 mile radius, the average around 1,600. That's really high. That's probably the highest I've seen, to be honest. 1619. All right. 1619, 1860. But that's also right in line with the ceiling rents, except this usually includes a little bit of utilities. So I'll probably underwrite this property at roughly around 1,600. 1564. 1520. Great. Let me get the rents for the 4-bedroom. I want to see what's going on here. To go a lot higher? No, it actually went lower. See, something's weird with the data. So if I do think this is a deal, I have to, one, get a much deeper dive into the market and understand what's causing that data to be skewed so high, because there might be a really fancy house on top of the hill that's causing the numbers to be skewed towards $1,600, right? Because we saw some really expensive houses in the zip code, and then we also saw some really cheap houses in the zip code. And if we're not careful, we might overestimate the rent that we're going to be able to get for the property. 1687, 1919. Because I went to the 4-bedroom rent, and you see how it actually dropped off, right? That's really interesting. That's 1.23 miles. And then the 3-bedroom is still 1 mile radius, so it's not that much. 1.07. 1.07. So I want to pay close attention to this, but let's see when as is this a deal or not. So after I get my purchase price, I'm going to plug in right here, 155,000. For my rehab, I'm going to go to my rehab calculator. I'm going to set aside $5 for the roof in case there's something I cannot see in the photos that might be wrong with the roof. I got $500 set aside for landscaping. I'm not going to paint any of the property. I'm assuming that this is relatively turnkey. I got 2 bathrooms in here, so I'm going to replace that with some high pressure flush toilets. That's $900. So all in all, I got a total of $3,480 for my rehab. Okay, $3,480, and now right now I'm gonna underwrite this property at $1,600. I'm probably gonna do a $1,550 to be a little bit more conservative because 1, the $1,640 usually includes utilities, and 2, that number seemed a little high. But let's see what it looks like at $1,550. All right, just a little bit lower. Just be a little bit conservative here because it's been on the market for 115 days. So if this was a slamming deal, someone should have jumped on it, you would think. 102 for property taxes. Homeowner insurance is 120, so I'm going to multiply that by 1.2. So I'm adding a 20% premium to this property. Why? Because generally the insurance number that's being quoted on there is usually for a property that is a primary residence property. And usually when you turn something into a rental property, the insurance premium is going to cost you more money. So that's why we're adding a 20% premium on top of it. All right, so now I got 10% for my maintenance, $155 a month. So that's money that does not belong to me. Put it in a bank account, and I never touch it ever because I know in 5, 10, 15 years from now, I'll probably have to replace my HVAC. I'll probably have to replace my roof. My water heater might go bust. That money does not belong to you because that's just normal wear and tear on a property that you cannot avoid. So don't assume you've been making a lot of money by not putting this money aside, because in 10 years from now, you're going to realize maybe I did all that work for no money at all because I didn't set aside money. All right. All right. So now I got 10% for property management and 5% for vacancy. 5% for vacancy just means that someone's going to move out of the property eventually at some point. And then for my down payment, I'm going to come over here, put in 25% in F19, and then I'm going to do equals the asking price in B4 times the down payment percentage in F19 to get to my down payment of 38.75K. For my finance amount, it's going to be equals to, in the cell K6, equals to the B4 or my asking price minus the down payment I just calculated by using the 25% down, and I'm using 8.25% for my interest rate. So using that number, that's going to allow me to get to my total monthly payment number. So as is right now, if I rent out a 3-bedroom, if I do get $1,550 for this property, this deal would yield me $43 of cash flow a month, and that's 1.1% return on my money, assuming I bought this property at $155,000 with a $3,500 rehab, just roughly speaking. Okay. Now, in order for this to be a deal, again, this is not investment advice. I'm not soliciting any investments on this call. Hey, Polivio, if you want to see the full screen, go to youtube.com/@Kent_HE. Instagram doesn't allow you to share the full screen, obviously, because you can't see it, but that's just a limitation on Instagram's part. So just go to youtube.com/@Kent_HE and you'll get the full screen version. All right. So now that we have this deal, we plug in all the numbers. Well, what if I lowered my asking price? So follow this number here. If I lowered my asking price, watch what happens to the cash and cash return here, right? So I'm gonna lower this to 130 grand. Let's see what happens. Now I'm at 5.6%, 120 grand, 7.8, 110, 10.56. All right, how about we'll go 112? Boom, 9.99. So if my criteria was I got to make at least 10% on my money, well, I would be willing to buy, assuming everything else stay constant, right? At $1,550, I will make $285 of cash flow a month, and that's a 10% return on my money. And assuming that I would be willing to pay 112 grand on this property, assuming my rehab was $3,500 at 8.25%. All right. That's the exercise I want you all to go through. One, is this worth my time? And this is still a very, very big drop to get down to $112,000, right? Now, let's think about it differently. What if my rehab all of a sudden I want to get an inspection. Maybe that's why this property has been on the market for so long, because someone looks at it and says, oh, there's something really, 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 really wrong with it. Let's say my rehab is 10 times as much for some reason. What am I willing to pay for it now, right? Did you see what happens after I multiply by that with 10? So my rehab's not 35 grand. My cash and cash return like half just now, from 10% to 5%. So which means that I got to lower my asking price to, let's say, $80,000. Boom. So why we just did the exercise was, one, I'm trying to help you all take the fear out of the equation. And by that, I really mean, well, man, what if things go wrong? What if something's happening with the house? We'll get an inspection, get a bid for it. And now all of a sudden, hey, okay, well, that's right. My rehab did 10X, but I offered 112 grand. There's obviously no way I'm going to give you 112 grand for it because of all these issues that we found. But now I'm willing to give you $80,000 in that scenario. Okay. And that's how you determine what's a deal, what's not. And just remember, for every single property, there's a price and a set of terms that will make this a deal. And I think this is one of the very good ways for you to figure out whether or not you can turn this into a deal or not. Okay. Another way to go about it is, well, let's go back to our original rehab costs. Let me turn on my chat. I just realized that's not connected to the chat. And let's go ahead and try and figure out, okay, well, let's go back to the original round. Let's go back to, don't multiply by 10. Let's say we go to 100. What was the asking price for this property? 155. Okay. But got $155,000, right? And my rent is still $1,550. What if I got the seller to seller finance this deal to me at 3%, 3.5%? See what happens as I adjust this interest rate in K7 and what it does to the interest rate. I mean, the cash and cash return. So I can buy this property for $155,000, assuming my rehab is $3,500, assuming I give a 25% down payment, if the seller would finance it to me at 3.5% interest rate, not what's currently on the market at 8.25. And assuming my rent is still $1,550, I would be calculating $394 a month, and that would still be a 10.3% return. So the seller can get the 155 grand if they were willing to seller finance it, meaning, one, they get the 25% down, so they still get to walk away from the deal at 38 grand-ish, but whatever amount they invested in the property, they just got to get it back over time with 3.5% interest rate, and that will still allow this to be a deal for us because of our return criteria. And who knows, maybe the seller might go for it because they've been on the market for 115 days now. So they might go for it. You never know. So that's something for you to figure out, and for you to figure out whether or not that is a deal that you truly care about. Obviously, you got to go a little bit deeper. And to be honest with you, I don't love a board at home next to it, but I don't know how old the street view is, to be quite honest with you. So something for you to figure out, something way more underwriting in terms of looking at crime data within a 1/2 to 3/4 mile radius to see when there's been any shootings and stuff like that. You don't want to, it's very street by street in this neighborhood. So you got to be very careful about drug activity, gang activity. And the only way to do that is if you have a team on board. So today, if you want a copy of the spreadsheet, you can go to affordablehousing.io, and you go to the section up on the very top, says Get Deal Analysis Tool. Plug in your information. I won't spam you, but this was the fastest way for me to get the spreadsheet out to people without me having to manually email everybody everything. So affordablehousing.io, click on the Get Deal Analysis Tool, and you will be able to get a copy of the spreadsheet. I didn't make the spreadsheet from scratch. I got a mix of spreadsheets from a lot of people. I kind of just combine it into a manner that allows me to quickly figure out whether or not a deal is a deal for me and just for my speed of underwriting. So that's it. I don't take credit for it. I just modify it so that it fits how I analyze deals. So there just wasn't a point to just remake a calculator from scratch. That's just not worth my time. All right. Have an amazing day, everybody. Thanks for joining me for day 264. Hope you guys can copy my homework today. Look at the same deal on Redfin or Zillow, whatever you choose. Analyze the same deal using the same spreadsheet that we had that you can get from the affordablehousing.io. Put it on your own YouTube channel. And that is how you create an undeniable track record to give yourself the credibility and yourself the confidence that you know what you're doing. That's so important, because when a deal comes across your table and slaps you across the face, how would you know that's a deal? And if a partner ever asks you, why do you think this is a deal? What are you going to say? Well, hopefully at that point in time, you can point them to your own YouTube channel and say, well, I know this is not a deal because I looked at deals for the past 264 days and they were all not deals. Some of them were, but just saying. I hope this really helps you. Thank you so much for being part of the affordable housing community. Thank you so much for caring about affordable housing. Without people like you guys, I would have never had the home I grew up in. So thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate your help. I hope you guys are able to learn something from today. I hope you guys are able to copy my homework. I hope you guys I hope you really start your own YouTube channel, because that is the best way to start building your brand, your level of consistency, and help yourself build that confidence. So please do alongside with me. All right. Have an amazing day, everybody. I hope you guys spend some quality time with your family and your friends, because that's what life is all about. All right. Have an amazing day. I'll talk to you tomorrow for day 265.